Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys, that I'm in a completely different place than I normally am when filming this Inspire series. Did you see what I did there? I over apologized. I didn't need to apologize. There's no reason to apologize. It is what it is. I'm in a different place. Does that sound like you as well? Do you tend to over apologize when it's not necessary? Welcome to the Inspire series. My name is Sylvia Mordini, and I am the founder of Life Inspired this last 20, 30 years. So I have had to work really hard to learn how to stop apologizing, to learn how to stop saying, I'm sorry when it's not necessary and it's not my responsibility to say, I'm sorry. And when are those times? Because equally, there are times that we do need to apologize, but not all the time. So, examples of not needing to apologize is when it's about things that you didn't do, it's about circumstances that are out of your control, it's about what other adults did, it's when you need something, when you have a question about something, um, when it's about your appearance or your feelings. These are all examples of when it's not necessary to apologize. And so, for instance, I'm so sorry that I'm feeling tired today. I'm so sorry that I didn't do my hair today. I'm so sorry that I look a certain way. And in the Midwest, where I spent a good part of my life growing up in the United States, in Chicagoland, um, it's no joke that you walk into a room and you say, oh, I'm so sorry. Or someone bumps into you and you immediately say, I'm so sorry, right? If the waiter screws up your order, you say, I'm so sorry. It's one of those things that you start to become habituated towards, and it's not healthy. It's disempowering. It lowers our energy, our frequency, and there's just causes for why that may be that we tend to over apologize. So listen closely if this is resonating and it sounds like you. Um, One of the reasons is perfectionism. If you have unrealistic standards for what it is that you're supposed to achieve or how you're supposed to show up in the world every day, and whether it's your work product and your job, or how you're supposed to be in your home, or what you're supposed to accomplish, if your standards are that you're just constantly supposed to be perfect at everything all the time, then you may start to incorporate the over apologizing because you know that it's an unrealistic standard and you feel bad that you have set this expectation for yourself to be perfect, and that when you can't achieve it, you just constantly then apologize for every single effort that you make because it's not perfect and you're not perfect. Another reason is that it's associated with low self esteem, that you just don't feel good about yourself, worthy, deserving, that you don't feel like you're going to weigh in at a particular level. And so your self esteem takes a hit even further. It's because your self esteem is low that you may over apologize, but then by over apologizing, it takes a further hit. It diminishes you and it just shrinks you in all ways. Another reason is that it's become a learned behavior, a habit, maybe cultural, um, maybe based in gender roles and identities, from family of origin or other cultural influences. But all of those reasons related to a learned behavior can influence why you constantly over apologize and start with, I'm sorry. There is a matter of feeling like there's expectations that others have of us. And so we apologize so as not to fail to meet their expectation. Does that make sense? It's like before they can be disappointed in us, then we will apologize. And that's part of the perfectionist experience. I know that I'm going to let you down. Therefore, I'm going to apologize before you can call me out and I can feel bad about letting you down. So, over apologizing is this way of really usurping others' expectations that are unrealistic to begin with of who we are, what we do, or what is demanded of us. Over apologizing can come as well from those times in our life where we want to make other people feel good. And this is the good girl, good boy syndrome. We want to be liked. We want to be considered nice. And so this you can put under people pleasing, right? The people pleasing aspect and generator of over apologizing is really, really strong in so many of us. I mean, it's like a muscle that you start to work out and it gets stronger, like doing bicep curls all day long. You want to be liked. I get it. I totally understand wanting to be liked. And where that one person doesn't like us, but the other 99 do, and we're focused on the one, that's where then the over apologizing can be instigated so strongly, almost like a knee-jerk reaction. And we want to be liked, so we'll say sorry so that that person likes us. We want to receive approval from people, and therefore we'll apologize. We will want to feel as if everyone sees us as an equal, and so then we'll over apologize just to make sure that they're seeing us and that we will do whatever it takes for them to see us equally or to receive their approval. But all of that people pleasing and using over apologizing, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, is not going to help us to achieve approval or to be seen as an equal or to even be seen as nice. In fact, when we over apologize, people tend to trust us less and may question if we're authentic and whether they can trust us in a way that feels stable, because over apologizing and saying I'm sorry comes off as disingenuous. So the exact reasons that we're people pleasing, to be liked, to seek approval, to be seen as nice, and to be seen as a good person, may actually completely backfire on us from over apologizing, which is the irony of the entire situation. But anything learned can be unlearned, including over apologizing. So those times where there's it's not necessary to apologize are those times where it relates to your appearance, where it relates to your feelings, when it relates to what another adult has done, when it relates to things that are out of your control, such as the weather, when you haven't been able to respond immediately. All of these times, it is not necessary to apologize. And most of all, when it's not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. It is not necessary to apologize, to make other people feel better. Allow them to be uncomfortable. Allow them to own their behavior. Allow them to own their feelings. And just let everyone be a little bit uncomfortable. It's part of adulting to learn how to grow comfortable with discomfort. If the waiter has messed up your order, let them be uncomfortable. That was their job, that was their responsibility, and you do not need to say you're sorry for their screw up, right? What can you say instead? Instead of saying, I'm sorry, you could say thank you, right? You could acknowledge the situation over and over again without the words, I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing this dish. It's not what I ordered. That's it. It works really well. You didn't have to shame the waiter for making a mistake. You don't have to put people down. There's no drama involved. But you can stay in your power. They can stay in their responsibility. And all you had to do was begin the statement with thank you. Thank you. If someone is late, you don't have to apologize. I'm so sorry. If the weather is bad, you don't have to apologize. You can simply state often the obvious. It was quite snowy and I was delayed because it was snowy. Because traffic was delayed, I am also here later than I expected. That's it. And cut out the I'm sorry and just go with the facts of what the situation is, what the realities of the situation are. And see how that feels. And notice how other people respond. When it becomes related to our appearance, like, I'm so sorry that I'm not more dressed up. I'm so sorry that I'm looking this way or that way. It's trying to pull a compliment from people. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that I'm not as put together today. Well, then that's expecting them to have to make you feel better. And that's like emotional blackmail, right? It doesn't feel good to them. It doesn't feel good to you, because then you're forcing them to say, no, oh, you look great. You're absolutely fine. Even if they don't feel that, but now you've created this tit for tat situation because you're apologizing about your appearance. And the same goes for apologizing for what you're feeling. And this could be in an intimate relationship. It could be with your friends. It could be at work. Stop apologizing for what you're feeling. Stop starting the sentence with, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I feel ... And just state the feeling. State the feeling. State your need. State your call to action. And these are from Nonviolent Communication System Methodology, NVC. But simply take responsibility with an I statement to I feel ... I'm so sorry you made me feel. I'm so sorry you caused me to feel. Remove the youing of people And instead, take on the responsibility, own the feeling, and remove the passive aggressiveness of I'm so sorry, and then the feeling, or I'm sorry you did this, I feel this as a result. Just state how you feel. And then after that, what you need, and maybe a call to action, right? But once you do that, you'll find that your communications are no longer ripe with misunderstandings, and instead, they will receive your feeling just as it is, without embellishments, and they will be able to respond from their I statements as well. And once we start to do this, remove the I'm sorry over apologizing when it relates to feelings, now there is an actual chance for communication to occur. But with the over apologizing, combined with the youing of people, there's no communication there. There's absolutely zero communication that can occur in that scenario. So remove the over apologizing, the I'm sorry for my feelings, and now we have communication possible. And that's going to make everybody literally feel better. It doesn't solve everything when it comes to feelings, but it certainly is going to make everything feel fair, equitable, and you will feel heard and seen, and they will feel heard and seen from the facts. Nothing more and nothing less, right? So these are some of the examples of times we do not need to apologize. We talked about why we over apologize, right? Like perfectionism and people pleasing, and examples of what we can say instead of I'm sorry in a couple different scenarios as it relates to feelings and appearance. So I hope this has been really helpful and has just started you thinking about what you can do. And here's the exercise. The take-home work is for 1 week, 7 days, stop saying I'm sorry. Journal about the times where you forget and you go into that knee-jerk reaction and that habit. It's like that muscle. And journal about it so that you can go back and look at the frequency and what was coming up for you related to, oh my gosh, I went into that again. I didn't even realize, right, what was happening. And the more you journal about the week experience of removing I'm sorry, or the attempt to remove I'm sorry and over apologizing from your life and vocabulary, you will see the dots connect from yourself for yourself. I promise you will. Try it for a week, journal about it for the week, and it will absolutely show you the whys and when and the reasons, what's going on around you and inside you that's causing you to over apologize. And this will change your life. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. Like, it begins always with awareness, because a lot of the time we don't even realize that we're over apologizing. It's just become so much part of our vernacular, like in the Midwest, right? And the other thing, as part of this exercise, this challenge to take on a week of removing I'm sorry and journaling about it, is tell a couple people in your close vicinity that you know you'll be interacting with during those 7 days to call you out and point out when you start to over apologize, when you start to say I'm sorry. Because again, you may not even notice. You may have been completely immune to the constant I'm sorry, but they're not. And especially if you ask them to listen for, to watch for every time you say I'm sorry, you'll be surprised at the frequency of how often you say I'm sorry, and the habits as they relate to a certain pattern that is forming when you say I'm sorry. And it may be a pattern with certain people, maybe a pattern with certain experiences, like you say I'm sorry all the time related to your feelings, or you say I'm sorry all the time related to your appearance, or related to when people are letting you down because they're not performing to set expectations. Whatever it is, you'll see the pattern form. And it's really helpful to have people mirror and just point out what's occurring from you and around you all these times that you say I'm sorry. And then maybe the following week offer them the same experience, right? And help them unlearn the I'm sorry. And it's possible. I absolutely have removed I'm sorry from my vocabulary. One, I realized that from being an over apologizer for reasons of perfectionism and people pleasing, those were for me, I diluted the impact of I'm sorry, so that when I actually had a reason to be sorry for something, nobody cared, right? Because I just painted broad strokes all the time with I'm sorry, that when I was really sorry, it held no meaning for people. It had lost its power and its potency. And so when I really did something that there was cause to apologize, I didn't have the words and they didn't have the patience to receive my apology. Because if you're in a constant state of apology, they can't tell the difference. And it feels disingenuous. And it just lacks the sincerity behind it, because you're just doing it all the time. And so it was a really powerful lesson for me, but it was amazing. I felt more confident. My self-esteem started to heal. I felt more like myself. And I felt like I could hold my head up higher by removing I'm sorry from my vocabulary, by stopping the over apologizing. And people then perceived me as more confident and more able. It was amazing how just this one thing changed people's perceptions of me, and it changed my own perception of myself. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but I can tell you, as part of this cognitive behavioral therapy, you have to see what your patterns are and what the behavior is before you're able to change it. Once I was able to see it, then I could change it, and I never went back. It's not like I was an over apologizer, fixed it, unlearned it, and then ricocheted back. Nope. Once I unlearned it and I was aware of it, then I never went back to being an over apologizer. And there's very few things that we can say that, wow, I unlearned it and it's done. Often we unlearn things, or we try to improve a behavior, and then we kind of fall back, and then we have to try again. But with over apologizing, it was my experience that I tried it once, I made the effort to unlearn it, and I never went back to over apologizing. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be confident. I want you to say what you mean. I want you to understand the times that it is necessary to apologize and have them have power. And I want you to just feel like you can undo those karmic knots of people pleasing and perfectionism by using over apologizing to like weaken yourself. This is going to make you stronger in all ways, happier and healthier. So from my heart to your heart, to the heart of the universe, I hope that this has been super inspiring, and I would love for you to love yourself, love your day, and love your life by no longer over apologizing. If inspired, please click the subscribe button. I would so appreciate that. And I'm so grateful for you being here. Please share this out in any form, whether it's conversation or clicking the share button. But I see you and I am grateful for you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Peace out, everybody.